You're listening to the MarketGems Podcast, presented by the Chesapeake Group. Welcome to the MarketGems Podcast, presented by the Chesapeake Group. Our guest today is the Senior Vice President of Investor Relations and Head of Business Development for Evofem Biosciences, Amy Raskopf. Evofem Biosciences trades on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol EVFM. Evofem Biosciences is commercializing innovative products to address unmet needs in women's sexual and reproductive health. The company's first FDA-approved product, Phexxi, lactic acid, citric acid, and potassium bitartrate, is a hormone-free, on-demand prescription contraceptive vaginal gel. It comes in a box of 12 pre-filled applicators and is applied 0 to 60 minutes before each act of intercourse. The company expects 2024 will be its fourth consecutive year of Phexxi net sales growth. So here are some touchstones for today's conversation. Exactly what makes Phexxi a game changer for women? Booming GLP-1 use and its implications for Evofem, and the potential for a merger with the NASDAQ biotech company Addex. With that said, Amy, thank you so much for joining me on the MGP.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here today.
So launching right into it, describe for our audience exactly what is Phexxi and why is it such a game-changing product for women? It's been on the market for a while now, but for people who aren't familiar, please give us the descriptor.
Sure. So Phexxi is like no other contraceptive you've ever seen before. It's a vaginal pH modulator, and women only use it when they're going to have sex. It's not like a hormonal product where you have to put it in your body every single day and maintain a dose of exogenous hormones, whether you're going to have sex or not, right? So this enables women to free themselves from hormones. Now, we know that some women like them for various reasons, but a lot of women don't. And in fact, if you take a look at the landscape of women and what they've historically been doing for contraception, there are about, 43.3 million women in this country who, through their actions, are saying that they're beyond hormones. There's 10.3 million women who are relying on non-prescription birth control. So that's barrier methods like condoms, withdrawal, abstinence, tracking, things like that. Those are all hormone-free. They're not prescription products. But there's 13 million additional women who say that they're not using any contraceptive at all, despite that they don't want to get pregnant, right? So that's an enormous chunk of women who've said, listen, if chicken can be hormone-free, why can't I? Now, and additionally, there are women who've been using prescription contraceptives like the pill, the patch, the ring, the shot, who really did it because there was not a lot of other options, right? It used to be that when you went into your OBGYN for your annual visit, they would want to talk to you about contraception, and they still do. But the big question was, okay, well, what are you doing? Oh, you don't want a hormone? Okay, well, then here's a copper IUD. And a lot of women find the concept of having an IUD inserted into their vagina to stay there for 10 years just unpalatable. Now, some women use it, but those who didn't really didn't have an option. So they said, well, I won't take that. And so the doctor would hand them a bag full of condoms and a prescription for the pill, which they would never fill. And they would come back, after several months and they'd be pregnant because, these are not effective contraceptive counseling tools. So now women can get a prescription from their HCP or through telehealth for Phexxi. And what it is it's, and I'll actually show it to you. So it comes in a box of 12. And it's a pre-filled applicator. So they're in individual sachets. So they're very discreet. I keep them in my purse, in my backpack, in my nightstand. And the great thing about it is you insert Phexxi 0 to 60 minutes before sex. So it can be done in the bathroom discreetly, or it can be done as part of the play. And so when you take it out of the pouch, you'll see the applicator looks a lot like a tampon. It's about exactly the same size as a typical tampon applicator. It's pre-filled. The Phexxi is already in there. You can't see it, but it's 5 ml of Phexxi. And you take the little top off and you insert the plunger into the barrel and you insert it into the vagina. And I'll do it on the outside of the glass because it's easier. But this shows you the gel. It's bioadhesive, right? Because women aren't going to use something that's messy and leaks out. It stays in place and it actually adheres to the vaginal epithelium. That's what it's designed to do. And then when it's in the vagina, of course, it's dispersed through the normal act of sex, right? So it's all coating the vagina. It coats the cervix. And what it does is maintains the normal, natural vaginal biome. So the entire purpose of semen is to raise the pH to around 7 or 8 to where sperm can survive. and swim up the cavity and do their job of fertilizing the egg. That's all semen is for. Well, that and a slightly sticky membrane. But when the sperm enter the Phexxi environment, and we've actually got video of, in little Petri dishes, it's fascinating. The sperm enter the Phexxi environment in that normal pH range of 3.5 to 4.5, which is what every woman's vagina should be, slightly acidic. They just stop swimming and then they curl up and eventually they die. So it's not a spermicide in that it's not killing the sperm, but it's a very, very elegant solution to prevent pregnancy that uses no hormones. And so if you take a look at it, and one of the reasons we show this to people is that you can also see it's very, very viscous, right? I mean, it's got a lovely, lovely lubricating property. Phexxi was actually first approved as a lubricant. We didn't ever launch it as that because we were going for the contraceptive indication. But that's another reason that women really like it. And actually in a post hoc, it wasn't a primary input in the study, but it was a post hoc analysis, sexual satisfaction increased among women and among their partners using Phexxi. So we launched it. It was approved by the FDA in 2020, and we launched it in September, which did happen to coincide with COVID. But we have been steadily growing our sales in the US. Net sales have grown every single year over year, to where we were $18.2 million of net sales in fiscal 2023. And we're looking to continue that trend this year. And, there's some really exciting tailwinds behind us there that I'm happy to talk about, but I want to see if you have any questions.
Absolutely. Well, we have so much ground to cover and limited time. So let me parlay what you just set up for us into the relationship between GLP-1 and the company overall. With the explosion of GLP-1 use, what's the relationship towards Phexxi and Evofem in general?
I love that you asked that. So you might think there isn't any at all, right? Because GLPs are like Mounjaro and Wegovy and those products. And we don't have any of those. We are a women's reproductive health company. But what's really interesting is that, as everyone knows, use of GLP-1s for diabetes and also for obesity have just skyrocketed in this country. I mean, who didn't see the Oprah special, right? Who hasn't seen it on Good Morning America and on the Today Show? But actually, just this week, CNN ran a beautiful article written by Meg Terrell about GLPs and their impact on fertility. We're obviously on the flip side of helping women to prevent unwanted pregnancies. So let me walk you through the situation there. So when a woman is going on to a GLP-1 receptor agonist, it is said in all of their package inserts that these drugs may make oral birth control pills less effective at certain points in the dosing schedule. So, for instance, the label for like Zepbound, which is one of the newest launched products, it tells healthcare providers to advise females using oral contraceptives to either switch to a non-oral method or to add another method for 4 weeks when they start the GLP-1 and another 4 weeks every time they escalate that dose. And by the way, these patients escalate quite frequently as they're losing weight and they need to use a little more and a little more to eventually get to their optimal dose, and then they maintain. So if you're using an oral contraceptive, right, that's hormonal. So you can't double down by adding another hormone. That's too many hormones. So when they say add another method, what they're saying is that you have to add a non-hormonal method. And so of the non-hormonal methods, obviously you want something that's on demand, right? Because you're not going to put up a copper IUD necessarily and still keep using the pill. And we believe that Phexxi is an ideal method because unlike condoms, women control it. It's very easy to use and it's covered by your insurance plan. So if a woman is taking the pill and she wants to go on Phexxi for supplemental contraceptive protection, she can still get her Phexxi covered by her plan as well.
That's one of the, yeah, thank you. I mean, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up with you. You've seen women's access to Phexxi specifically increase through the relationship with their insurance provider.
Absolutely. So not only are we seeing it go as a result of Obamacare. I mean, look, I'm not sure if you're well versed in Obamacare, but Obamacare says that in each contraceptive category, at least one product must be covered at zero copay to the woman. Now, if there's a generic, the generic will be the covered benefit. But Phexxi is the only vaginal pH modulator, and it is therefore the covered benefit in the category. So women should be able to get their Phexxi at zero copay. Now, a lot of plans absolutely are towing the line, especially since January of last year, when the Biden administration got more vocal about enforcement. And they're really fighting back on the plans that are pushing. There are still some plans that are they're not playing by the rules. So they'll still require a prior authorization letter, but our sales teams have worked with the offices so that they understand how to do a prior auth. And so now we've got, 85% of scripts going through, which is really fantastic.
Okay, that's wonderful. And that number has increased over time for you.
Very much so. Yeah, we've continued to have win after win after win as plans are putting us on formulary. They're removing prior auth requirements. They're no longer requiring step edits. There was a plan at one point in time before Obamacare was being enforced that would require a woman to do what's called step edits. So they would have to try and fail on this one plan 8 other types of contraception before they would cover Phexxi. Now, for women who have or are at risk for a hormone sensitive cancer, they can't take any hormones ever. They can't ever take the pill, the patch, the ring. So what were they to do? They're told to take 8. There aren't 8 to try. So, we're really, really pleased that access for women is increasing, and it's continuing to increase. We've got some really exciting stuff going on, and our payer relations team, market access team, is just doing a fantastic job of continuing to move the needle so that women can get access to this product that is game changing for them. There's nothing else like it out there, and it empowers women to truly have sex on demand without having to rely on exogenous hormones, which can cause side effects in many women that are really difficult. And I'm not just talking about weight loss and, loss of libido and things like that. I'm talking about, in many women, depression. Especially during COVID, a lot of younger women were being diagnosed for depression. And what the doctors were finding out was it was actually a lot of it related to hormonal birth control. And when they took some of these women off those hormonal products, all of a sudden it cleared out of their system, and their depression was alleviated, which is fantastic.
So let's talk about the increased access and the wins that you've had, fortunately, and let's parlay that into the outlook for your growth strategy. What might the public look to see from Evofem and Phexxi in particular over the next 3, 6, 12 months and beyond?
Sure. Well, I would say that one thing to keep in mind is that growth can come from increasing prescribing of the product, but it can also come from a better gross to net. And one of the things we did earlier this year was we renegotiated with Medi-Cal, which is one of the larger payers in California, so that we're paying them less of a rebate back for Phexxi. So, a lot of plans, there's the wholesale cost, and then it's what it's sold to women at, and there's a discount, you pay them back. We're now going to be paying them back less by about 7% starting in July. So that's going to help us on the bottom line. We're looking to have similar lower rebates with other groups. We're working with certain specialty pharmacies to gain access for Phexxi to their patients who purchase product through them. We're looking at relationships with groups that enable smaller community programs, community health providers, to get product for their constituents at a little bit of a discount. But again, a discount can mean so much for these people, and all of a sudden they can use the product. We entered into a program with Costco where Costco members who don't have insurance can buy Phexxi out of pocket at a significant discount through Costco. So we're really trying to get creative, and obviously we're still making money on all of these sales. We're a public company, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing for our stockholders, but we're also working to make sure we're doing the right thing for women.
With the Costco incentive specifically, how is the word getting out about that? How would the average Costco member know that this is something that they have access to?
As an average Costco member, I'm so pleased to tell you that I got a mailing from Costco telling me that it was available in their pharmacy, and I was really excited to see it. So that's the main way. And then, of course, when anyone is going to their pharmacy of choice, whether it's Costco or CVS or others, if they go in with their Phexxi script, it's going to get filled.
I read something about a potential merger for you with a biotech company called Addex. Is that still something in the works potentially?
We are excited about the opportunity to be acquired by and operate as a subsidiary of Addex Inc., which is a NASDAQ-listed company. And one of the really exciting things about this is that Addex team and Evofem are completely aligned on the importance of women's health. We are their newest mission, and they are as passionate as we are and as absolutely supportive of the fact that women's needs must be better met, and there are better ways to do it. There are so many opportunities out there with companies that have a single product that they're struggling, quite frankly. It's difficult as a single product company. And so this is an opportunity for us to be the leader of a roll-up in women's health so that we can add products into our portfolio, we can support new ranges. And I'm not just talking necessarily prescription products that our amazing sales team would add and detail alongside of Phexxi, but other aspects as well, where we can, be a value add and bring this to women, grow this company, and ideally in, 18, 24 months, then be spun out again as a new public company, either EBITDA positive or profitable, with a sight on a long-term growth that's really going to benefit both companies and our stockholder.
Thank you very much for that detail. It's something, what is it, 1% of all R&D money going into new pharmaceuticals are dedicated towards women's health issues outside of cancer? Is that something staggering like that?
It is mind-blowing. We are more than 50% of the population in this country alone. And yes, the investment in women's health has just been abysmal. It's really frustrating. I mean, if you take a look in contraception, right? In 2001, NuvaRing came to market, right? That's the vaginal ring. It elutes hormones. That was the last innovation until Phexxi was approved in 2020. It's ridiculous. And this is true across the board. There is not enough work being done in women. Now, there is a push towards having women better represented in clinical trials, which is great. But those are, again, for indications or potential indications that affect both men and women. But yes, there needs to be more focus on women and getting new products out to them that better meet the needs that have been longstanding.
We've covered a lot of ground today. I want to give you a chance to leave our audience, retail investors, those who are just coming in touch with the company, and people who are familiar with you already. What would you like people to know? What do you want to leave people with today after this conversation concludes?
I think the key takeaway would be that our last year's revenue was 18.2 million, and there is significant room for growth after that point. That's not even the tip of the iceberg. If you take a look at the number of women in our addressable market of 43.3 million women, and you take a look at, even if you conservatively say that women are going to get only 5 boxes of Phexxi, so only 60 applicators in a year, that's conservative, right? Most women are going to have sex more than 60 times in 1 year. But the net to Evofem per box of Phexxi is $208.94. So do that math, and 1% penetration of our total addressable market in the US is more than $450 million. So clearly at 18.2, we've got plenty of room to grow. We are looking at multiple channels to drive that growth, both things you might think of as traditional and then some outside the box ideas. We're looking at strategic partnerships. We're talking with companies that are outside of the US as well, that are interested in the markets there for Phexxi. So I think that we're going to see a pretty strong news flow this year that's going to be driving our future revenue streams. And it's a really great time to be looking at Evofem and to be thinking about us and thinking about Addex, our intended parent, and thinking about Phexxi and how it can be beneficial to so many different women in this country and around the world.
Our guest today has been Senior Vice President of Investor Relations and Head of Business Development for Evofem Biosciences, Inc., Amy Raskopf. Evofem Biosciences trades on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol EVFM. And for more information, correct me if I'm wrong, you can visit online at phexxi.com, phexxi.com, and evofem.com, 2 separate websites there. Amy, thanks so much for joining me on the show today. A lot of great information shared. Love to have you back with us again soon for another update.
That would be great. It was such a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for listening to the MarketGems Podcast. presented by the Chesapeake Group, who is solely responsible for this content. Chesapeake Group encourages you to do your due diligence and invest wisely.